Well, small and medium-scale enterprises remain the backbone of major developed economies as well as important contributor to employment, economic and export growth. According to the recent report by the National Bureau of Statistics, SMEs in Nigeria have contributed about 48% to national GDP in the first 5 years, with 17.4 million of them, and they account for 84% of employment and nearly 90% of the manufacturing sector regarding the number of enterprises. Thus, the industry has over time grown to become an indispensable part of the economy. Despite the significant contribution of SMEs to Nigerian economy, challenges still persist that hinder the growth or development of the sector, and the major challenge concerns is access to credit. It is with this realization that financial experts and development economists have continually discussed the need for the fiscal authorities to urgently roll out measures to support the development finance efforts of the central bank so as to stimulate economic activities. However, the Central Bank of Nigeria in its recent report disclosed that it has disbursed a sum of 253 billion naira under the targeted credit facility in order to address the financing gaps of micro, small and medium enterprises operating across the country. Now, joining me live in the studio to discuss this and more is the Vice President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Thank you very much for your time. Good afternoon, Mr. Idahosa.
Thank you.
Yes, as we were talking before, behind the studio, before we came on air live, PIB is the biggest story in all newspapers and the news online and everywhere. I want us to start really on that note. Finally, after how many years it's been passed into law. Now, what's your first direct reaction to it? At least I think people are commending the lawmakers for doing this.
Well, it really is the biggest thing in the last 15, 20 years for the Nigerian economy, because the oil and gas remains the most powerful driver of the economy. If we look at how it affects foreign exchange. And this PIB has been there in one form or the other since 1999. And so it's a monumental achievement to finally pass it, but we do hope that the issue of 3% and 5% between the Senate and the House of Reps on what is allocated to the host communities is resolved very quickly, so that the 5% as already recommended by both committees of the Senate and the House and adopted by the House of Reps is accepted at the conference of the Senate and the House of Reps, which is expected to hold very quickly before it goes to the President for assent.
Because I always notice that the issues are it's always been about interest. That's always been the challenge with PIB, host community issues. We know the communities have suffered a lot when you look at flaring of gas and oil spills and all that has happened to them. But looking at this bill helping attract investment, can't we just wait for this, the ripple effect of this bill, instead of arguing about all of this host community, and some other parties will come out and also come protect their own interests, like the IOCs?
No, the politics is all about interests. So we are not going to ever have any law made without interests. What has happened is that everybody has come to the table. The IOCs, the downstream, the midstream, the investors, the host communities, everybody has come to the table and agreed on 99.9% of all the issues and say it's time for us to move on. At that stage, the agreement was 5% for the host communities.
Yes.
They have consistently asked for more than 10%. They came down to 10% at the last rounds of discussions. And it was with 10% that the public hearing started. But in the course of discussions and consultations behind the scene, there was a consensus that, okay, 5% should fly, which is about half of 10%. And that was what went to the Senate and the House.
Yes.
And the House, of course, have done the deal with that. Senate, at the point of passing it, somebody asked for an amendment and came to that. But we believe that will be resolved very quickly, because so much investment has gone into getting this bill to this stage. the time of technocrats, the political investment by this administration and this current National Assembly to see that at the end of the day, this bill is passed. There's so much at stake. There's a lot at stake politically for all the players and for the host communities. We are talking of host communities who have suffered for 50 years, more than 50 years. And so all these interests are important. But what everybody has agreed is that you can't get everything. So everybody has made compromise to get where we are now. So we think that finally we will get something for the president to put his accent very soon.
All right. We'll continue with the PIB breakdown by his grace by Monday. So let's go back to other discussion, which is also very important. As much as oil remains important, MSMEs also remain the backbone of every economy. We see it everywhere we go to. But in Nigeria, just very recently, there was the MSME Day. I had the CEO MSME Africa here, and we spoke a lot, and the challenges remain the same. Now, are you one of those that believe that it's not just access to credit, or are you one of those that believe that credit is one of the most important things that will keep the MSME space as active as they should be?
Well, the SMEs need a lot of things to succeed. Credit is extremely important, but competency to run the business is also critical, because you can give money to some people and they can run the business well. So they need empowerment in skills. They need information about access to credit. Because you can have credit all around Lagos and you don't know. You don't know where to go to. So in Nigeria today, most informed people will say there's sufficient credit available for SMEs across the board, but there is insufficient information about those sources of credit and how easy it is to get them. So we have got to a stage where it's no more lack of access to funding, it's now lack of access to information. For everyone in the financial industry, it's quite amazing to find that there are billions of naira in various institutions, including the international agencies, donor agencies, waiting for people to apply. But because of lack of information, people don't apply. At the Chamber of Commerce, we always see this. When these agencies come and say, we have this amount of money for the past 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, the SMEs have not taken it. And we say, look, every agency must invest in information. It's not enough to say you have so many billions to give to SMEs. You have to take out some of that money to invest in information, to let people know that those funds are there and how easy it is to get them. Without information, there is a gap between the SMEs and the funds. That information is the big gap now in Nigeria. There was a time where there was no funding, but we have passed that. There's funding from the Development Bank of Nigeria, there's BOI, there are the large international agencies pouring in money for SMEs. But a lot of it is sitting, waiting for SMEs to apply.
So, yes, because I totally agree with you, Mr. Idahosa. There was a time the central bank governor came out to talk about, I think it was the 200 billion that was made available at the time. 220 billion. And about 50 or 40 something percent has been accessing it. And, they're even calling on, and so the knowledge, that education, people need to be educated, people need information. I think government needs to do more around that space. Now, I'm looking at SMEs that also suffered a lot. The NSAS, COVID-19. We've seen special schemes or special initiatives, for this very effect, and as in addressing the effect of all of these challenges. Yes, like you mentioned, the chamber. How are people reacting to this? Are they coming back as they are supposed to be, talking bounce back to work? We know what happened in Lagos. We don't want to go through that again. More than 1 trillion naira loss, businesses, and we were affected as a media outfit. So what are you feelers? What feelers are you getting? Are these funds trickling down? We have the Employment Trust Fund. We have a lot of funds for COVID-19. Are people accessing these monies?
No, actually, for COVID-19 facilities, it has been quite successful. Because of the fact of COVID and the fact that people were actually impacted, when the facilities came out, like the TGF, the Targeted Credit Facility for COVID, it was all exhausted.
Good.
The first one.
Good.
Then the government brought another round of those facilities. Those ones are almost exhausted because people had serious losses. They were looking for money, and anywhere you had anything, COVID, palliatives, everybody was geared for that.
Yes.
So that has been quite successful. But that is a very small part of the funds available for SMEs, unfortunately, which a lot of SMEs don't even know, that there are funds available in several institutions, both at state and federal level, and banks. But that information is not structured. There's no place you can go to get that information. So the first thing we want to advise SMEs, join an association or a cooperative, because most of the information is channeled to those associations and cooperatives. So if you don't belong to any one of them, you don't even get to know. And some of the funds are tied to membership of a cooperative or an association, because the owners of the funds prefer to deal with associations. They believe the associations will provide some level of discipline for their members. So
risk there.
members can say, for you to access this fund, you must commit to these covenants. Yes. You must be a good member of the association. You must pay your debts, your loans when they are due. If you don't pay, you will be sanctioned. So the first thing an SME needs to do is join an association in your business, whatever your line of business. You will get information. It is at that point you decide whether you want the facility or not. But information itself is power. Because if you have enough funds to run your SME now, and you know you can get funds to double the size of that same business, then you can go and take it. But you are probably happy where you are, and you are not listening to the fact that there's a lot of money there for SMEs. So first, access to information. That access to information is available when you join an association of any kind of business you are doing, and don't operate alone without knowing what is going around.
This is also a time where information technology, ICT, information communication technology remains key, talking about technological tools that can help MSMEs brace up and also do their job easier. And that's what I even see, because it makes it easier for them. But how well do you see our SMEs taking advantage of technology, particularly even at this time? It's getting better in Nigeria, but we know what's happening in other countries. That's COVID-19, not too much of human interface and all of that. But our SMEs technologically inclined as much as they should be, even with their financial records?
Well, unfortunately, you have this big, very big digital divide, which separates the SMEs from this digital world you have described. If you look at the population of Nigeria, you look at the latest statistics about the number of SMEs in Nigeria, let's say 34 million by some last Nigerian Bureau of Statistics survey. Out of the 34 million SMEs, you want to find out how many of them are digitally savvy. How many of them know how, beyond using the phone to make a call and send text messages, how many of them have a social media account for business? How many of them can do very basic accounting using free software that is in the cloud? So there is a digital divide in the SME space that you want to fill. Because when you're talking of SMEs, you are talking of all the SMEs. There are SMEs that are in the age range of 15 to 25 that are digital natives. They know everything you are talking about. They can use the digital facilities. You have SMEs that are between 30, 45, 55, and some of them are analog people. They don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah. So they are cut out, and that's where you have the digital divide. So for the lower age range of SMEs, they are very savvy. They are actually doing extremely well. That is the new Nigerian economy. From Yaba in Lagos to similar locations around the country. True. There are a lot of young people who are doing extremely well with the digital space. But you still have that big divide for those who are not there. And so until you close that divide, and you encourage SMEs, no matter your age, because it's easy to learn this thing.
Yes.
You don't say, I'm too old, I'm 60, but within a few minutes, actually, you can learn. So we need to close that digital divide. If you are running a business, being digitally savvy is not an option. It's not a like to do. It is a must do. It's as important as opening your business every day. It's like you open your business, but you are closing it digitally. There's no digital access to your business. Nobody knows you are there in a digital space. You open the door in your neighborhood, only 5 people walking across your shop know you are there. But once you are digitally active, you can have people from Ghana, from America, buying the same products, exactly the same products, at less cost. So you find a lot of the younger business people don't bother to hire any shops because of the cost involved. And they are selling their products and services worldwide. A lot of them are earning foreign currencies from those businesses. So we need to encourage the SMEs that are outside the digital space to come in. Again, that's where information is important.
True.
The agencies who want, all the SME agencies, the SMEDAN, for example, you are not supporting SMEs just by giving them money. You also want to support them by opening them to the digital space. And they say you need to have a social media account. You need to have a website. And they are getting cheaper and cheaper by the day. So it's not lack of money that is stopping you from having a website or a social media handle. And it's not lack of even a capacity to do it. Your employee, your secretary, your son, somebody in your space can run your digital account. You don't have to run it as the owner of the business. But what is important is that you know it is something important to have, and you get the nearest person around you to do it.
Let's wrap up on this note. Government's ease of doing business initiative is also focused on SMEs. Even the Finance Act, there's if you're making more than 20 million or less than 20 million, no tax. So all of this moves by government. Would you also say these are steps in the right direction? And are they impacts? What's the impact level?
Well, actually, generally, we have done extremely well with the design and implementation of the ease of doing business, starting from PEBEC, the Presidential Enabling Business Council, and drill down to states. All the states have these structures, and all international assessments say we are doing well. The unfortunate thing is that most of that success is undermined by security. That is the unfortunate thing. A lot of the ease of doing business initiatives are working well. If you want to establish a company today, it takes about 2 days, 3 days max to get it registered. If you want to apply for a loan and you know how to process, you can get a loan in a day or 2.
That's true.
So the ease of business initiatives are going on. But until we fix security, a lot of that effort is going down the drain.
Well, it's a good way to leave it, because we can go on and on when it comes to MSMEs. We've talked about information, we've talked about technology and all of that. A parting shot, what more do you think government should look at to take advantage of this space?
I think the most important thing is information. There has to be a lot of investment in information by all stakeholders. The government, the media, the development agencies. Information, that's it.
And that will do a lot. We're also here to help disseminate this information. Thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Is the Vice President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's always a pleasure having you in the studio. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.